Hello, welcome to the Lulu Loves Crochet Podcast, episode 49. My name is Emma and this is my podcast all about crochet, crafts and books. So welcome if you're new here. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm just going to share some of my current projects. They are mostly crochet. I do have a new knitting project. I'm a newbie knitter. And I actually find knitting quite difficult, so very basic projects only on this channel, I'm afraid, when it comes to knitting. I also have some books to talk about that I've read throughout March, so I will put all the show notes and everything I mentioned, I will link and pop below. I've not been very good at updating the blog recently because I'm in the process of moving the blog, so I'm reluctant to put posts up there at the moment, but I'll put the links below anyway if you would like to go over and have a look, and I will put all the show notes in the notes section of this video, along with anywhere else you can find me on the internet. So yes, I think that's all this sort of blog admin, isn't it? I always forget to say that. So yes, do go and have a read. If you're interested in anything I talk about and I'm mumbling on too much or talking too fast. And I will just get started, I think. It's been another fairly consistently slow month for me, crochet wise. I have finished one project and it's been ongoing for a couple of years, and that is my mini blanket. I've got it in this. It's just a little bag. The height of sophistication here. Let me move that coffee. And I finally finished it. And when I say finished, there are obviously ends still to be sewn in. But the majority of it's done. I really just got I think I've just got a bit bored of working on it. So I thought, right, I'm going to get that finished. It is absolutely beautiful. It's, I would say it's a lap blanket, really. It's fairly long, but I just did, basic reversible granny square. And I used lots of my mini skeins. And I think I was getting maybe 3 or 4 squares out of one mini skein, and I had been sent some lovely ones by friends, and I had bought some, and then so it's just a really lovely mix of colours. Let me try and show you a bit closer. I don't want to dunk it in my coffee after spending all this time working on it. So what I've done is I've used some of the remaining miniatures, or the scraps really, to just to do a little bit of a border, and they don't match and I don't mind, so yeah, and I tried just to use the sort of pinky browny coloured ones so that it wasn't too different. But yeah, there are some lovely squares. I'll try and take some photos, and if I can remember where some of the yarns are from, or maybe I'll just put some of my favourite Etsy stores for you to have a look at. I know that some of these are from dyers that are no longer dyeing yarn, so that's quite sad. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's just beautiful, and I kind of I did that kind of modular join, which is a little bit of a headache, but I like the way it looks. So I join everything. Each square is joined with a white square. So you're sort of building up slowly. I like the way it looks, and it keeps it nice and neat. They all look the same. So each coloured block has got those little tiny white sort of piercings where they've been joined to a white. But it is a bit more of a faff, to be honest with you, and I think that was what was making me bored, because I had very slowly built up the collection of pretty granny squares, which I really enjoyed. And I thought, oh, I just love making this blanket. And then, of course, I had to make up all the white squares and then join them all individually, rather than doing that join as you go where you're going in sort of rows. I chose to do it this way. It's done. It's not, no regrets really. But I was getting a bit bored of them. Just so for the past, I think that's why I stalled on the blanket as well, because for the past, well, I've put it down for a long time, but all I've been doing recently, I've been crocheting the cream ones to go in between, and I really love the way that looks, really sort of cottagey, but a bit dull. So anyway, that's done. I was tempted to just finish it a bit further with maybe a picot edging. I thought that might be quite pretty. Is that too much? I don't know. I still have another ball of this. What was I using? I think it's the Drops Noro. It's really soft, really lovely. It's got a bit of a little a fluffy halo on it. I don't think you can really see. And it just makes it so very soft. It's really, despite it being, I guess, 4-ply and fingering weight yarns, it's really warm. And I think probably because of that Drops yarn. So I've just got it over the sofa and it's perfect, because all the other blankets that I've made have been, apart from Lulu's, which I made in DK, they've always been Aran weight yarn, which is lovely because they work out really quickly, but they're really heavy and chunky, big blankets. So when you go to get one out of the basket to put on your sofa, it's like big, ugh. Whereas this is such a lovely light one, but it still keeps you really, really warm. So yeah, I am over the moon to have that finished. Also, it means I can just move on from it now and maybe look at another blanket, starting another blanket. I like to have a blanket on the go. I'm a terrible blanket maker because I generally get bored very quickly. But it is nice. Maybe I'll try something else, because I really did like the way that the grannies worked up with just the granny stitch as well. I've never done anything like that with the minis, but I'm almost out of miniatures now. I've used up the ones I bought, the ones I've been sent. I've got a couple. So there were a couple of colours that I chose not to include. So I made up these very vibrant greens, and I didn't, when it came to putting them in, I didn't like the way it looked, so I missed those out. And I think because I wanted to stop, I just stopped. I probably could have done another row, but the colours I had left were obviously from very similar skeins. So I've got those left, so maybe I could do something with those, or just unravel them and use them in something. I've got a tiny little bit of this lovely, here we go, this lovely turquoisey blue one. That actually is in the blanket. I only have 2 squares of it, so there's probably enough for another 1 or 2 squares there. And then this lovely one, I don't know why it got missed out. I guess I just had enough squares. This is a lovely kind of earthy tone, so I'm not sure where that one came from. And then there's another one of those pinky squares and tiny bit left of the yarn there, and that's the other solid colour that did go in. I think I've got only 1, 2. I've got 2 of those in the blanket as well. So that's all I've got left. So I feel really pleased that I managed to use up most of what I had. And I will keep these maybe for another, if I ever do another little scrappy project. So yeah, I feel really good that everything got used, and I still have, I've sewn in probably half the ends, so I will get around to doing those. But yeah, isn't that lovely? Love it. Anyway, so yes, I will take that one back down, pop it on the sofa. What I've been doing is sitting under it in the evening and sewing a few of the ends in. That's been quite nice. So yeah, that's all finished. So I'm really pleased. So that is my only finished item. Yeah. What else have we got? I bought some Aran yarn. I mentioned it in, I think, maybe the last vlog that I did. I'll link that below as well. And, oh, actually, we'll talk about this. we'll talk about this first. So from the the reason I don't have many scraps left from my miniature blanket is I started making them up into a mini project. So I was making it. Oh, there's another. That's what I'm using to sew these together with. So I've been making loads of these mini squares. Just like loads of little sweeties. I've got them on one of these little pins to make a little patchwork project. They're so small. There we go. Just, can you see that? Is that gonna? Aren't they lovely? They're just tiny squares. Anyway, I have made up a whole bunch of them. They look like little sweets. And I was going to do like a patchwork heart. So it was February when I started making these. So I've used all the little odds and ends from the blanket and made them into these little squares. And then I was going to do a patchwork heart. So I've started, there we go, sewing them together, which I won't lie, is faffier than I thought it was going to be. I've tried several methods of sewing them in. So I've just been sewing them together with some fingering weight yarn in a fairly neutral colour. I think I might try crocheting them, actually. Just crocheting along and, you know, crocheting back up the other way. I think that might be easier and look neater. I can see that it will look absolutely adorable, but I've got all these ends, you know, I've got to do two sides and then put in the tiny little triangles. So I kind of put that down for a bit because I think I was getting annoyed. But I think what I need to do is lay them all out on the table and just crochet or slip stitch them together. But I won't undo that. I can use that as the back. So I'm going to do a front and a back, and then I bought some wadding. So I thought that might be the best way to stuff it so that nothing comes through the little tiny corner holes. So yeah, isn't that just adorably sweet and miniature? I love it, and I love seeing all the different colours so closely together like that. Beautiful. So yes, that started off as a little Valentine's inspired project, and now is not. I'm just going to have to get on, and I feel like I do that. I hit like a bit of resistance and then think, oh, that's harder than I thought. Such a fair weather crafter. So yes, there are loads of those to do. So I will get on and do that, and a knitting needle, oddly. Not sure why that's there. So I've got those all together. In fact, I might just pop those miniature scraps in there to keep them all together as well. But I like, that's nice. Well, it was a nice portable project. Now that it needs sewing, I'm going to have to do it at a table. But yeah, so that's cute. Put that there. And then the other project was something that I'd started recently. I bought that really big thing of Aran weight wool, and then that lovely colour. And I wanted to make myself a cardigan. So I'm using a 5mm, and I want it to be quite a short cardigan, but quite a wide boxy cardigan. So that's what I've got so far. The back, you can see it's going to be big. And now I'm almost wondering if it's too big. And the other thing that I've done is, so I'm just going to make a couple of front panels, and I don't think I'm going to need much sleeves actually, because this is quite wide. I think I'll make the front panels up and then worry about the arms, because I've started from the bottom up. And now I'm thinking, well, that means I need to do the sleeves from the bottom up. Which is a bit more of a faff, isn't it? Because I'm going to have to do the sleeves separately now, rather than attach them and crochet down. So yeah, I'm going to have to do some sort of seamed garment, which is not my favourite thing to do. I like to work them all up in one piece generally, or a couple of pieces. But so anyway, I'm going to do that. Maybe because it's so big, maybe I won't need too much of the sleeves, and it won't be such a big issue, because actually then I was thinking, I'm going to have to start the arm and then work some increases and then attach it, but I don't think I'll need sleeves till about here, with this being the width of it, if it's not completely massive. So I might just carry on with it. It's very easy. It's granny square, so that's a nice easy one. So I think I'll just carry on making that a bit bigger, then make 2 panels. I'd like to try and experiment maybe with a collar, and then we'll work out the sleeves when we get there. And knowing me, it's going to be a while, so not too worried about it. So they've been really nice comfort projects, with the granny squares and the granny stitch. And I think maybe that's just what I've needed recently. So just to make sure that I'm doing something, but it's not too, it's not too I don't feel like it's work, or that I've got to write up anything, or, So yeah, and then the last project, where are we at? Oh gosh, is an old swimming bag. Let's have a look. With some oat biscuits, because you never know when you're gonna. I've obviously taken this in the car, and it is my knitting project. And it came about because I ordered some yarn. I'll show you. I'll go and get it actually, because I've got another colour. So I ordered this yarn. This is Drops Alpaca Boucle Mix. Soft, light and full of loops. Look at that. Isn't that the most beautiful yarn? And the colours, oh gosh. So I ordered 2 skeins. I ordered this colour because I just wanted to see what it was about, and I thought, I could use it in some amigurumi or something like that, and I ordered it in this colour, and I'm not sure what the shade is, but I'll look it up and pop it below. I'm pulling it from the middle. There we go. And this lovely warm sort of cream colour. Isn't that just lovely? So then I had a look round for some patterns using it, and I wanted to do another knit project. I finished my marble scarf and I really enjoyed that, so I was looking for something that would be nice and easy for me, and I saw a pattern. I can't remember what it was, but it was a free pattern for a hot water bottle cover. Now, we all love our hot water bottles in this house, so I thought that would be perfect. And it used it was a very simple pattern. It used 1 ball of this and then 1 ball, and this is coming apart a bit, so I'm a bit, I feel like I'm going to get knotted. And 1 ball of the mohair. I think is it Drops Light or something like that. I will put all the details. I don't remember exactly. And you work them together to create this hot water bottle cover. And I was kind of nervous, but I thought I'll give it a go. And actually, it's fine. Working the, I feel like if I crocheted with this, I would struggle to see where the stitches were. But it's knit on 7mm circulars. And there we go. So look. Oh gosh. It is so incredibly soft and beautiful. There's my very professional stitch marker. I need to get some knitting ones. Isn't that just beautiful? Look at that. And it's so soft. It doesn't feel, maybe a bit, I probably wouldn't want to wear it up around my neck, but for cuddling it's just so, as a hot water bottle, it's so lovely, and it's lovely to work with. And I don't seem to have any trouble. Oh, the camera's flashing at me. Yes, I don't seem to be having any trouble. I don't seem to be having any trouble finding where the stitches are. You can see that they are together, but yeah, it seems fine. So the only thing I did struggle with was I'd not worked anything in the round. I don't think so. Maybe I did a hat actually a long time ago. And I'd forgot that because it said to work stockinette stitch or knit stitch, I think. So, are they the same thing? I guess they are. Anyway, I forgot that when you work in the round, you don't have to sort of do the knit and purl rows. So for the first, I think I got sort of 3 rows in, and I thought, oh, hello, why is this happening? And in a way I was pleased, because I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to keep track of a knit purl, you know, once I've put it down and picked it back up again. So, but it's only at the bottom, and that's going to get seamed together anyway, isn't it? So you work it from the bottom up, and you just work in the round, and then I have to switch to DPNs to do the neck. So that will be fun. I mean, I feel a bit more confident after doing the Miss Marple scarf, because I did have to move some stitches for that. But I've never worked in the round with DPNs, so that will be an experience, I'm sure. And I don't know if it felt like I hadn't joined, so I think my stitches were either really loose or I was just somehow working backwards and forwards. Anyway, I got it together. You can kind of see, so I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and you can just see where they start off quite big, and I think someone put some tips on, and it, you know, when you're working in the round, just to work those sort of stitches where you're starting a new row really tight, just work them on the ends. And I don't tend to knit so much on the ends of my needles, so I think that will help. But yeah, that's lovely. And this yarn is just it's just so beautiful. Look at that colour. So I definitely want to look at some more projects, and I will see how it crochets up as well, because I think that would be quite interesting to see the comparison. Yeah, I love it. So I'm really happy with that. I'm really excited to finish that. It also, I did not do a swatch. I think that's going to be fine for a hot water bottle. I mean, it's going to be a fairly stretched out, but I think it'll be fine. Because that's the other difference, I think, with knitting, is when you're knitting along, everything seems a lot smaller, and then when it comes off the needles, it's a lot bigger. And you don't really have that in crochet, apart from maybe lace work. It tends to grow quite a bit, doesn't it? But anyway, so that's that. So really, and it's just, that's been a lovely project, just to sit, and you know, I'm a very slow knitter, but I've loved working on that. So I will get that finished and let you know. So that back in there first. I need to get some more project bags. I think they've all got projects in, or they've gone walkabouts somewhere. So I'm using an old PE sack. Right, I think that's it for projects. So I'm currently working on, the hot water bottle cover and the cardigan. And maybe I'll pick up that little patchwork heart as well. There are another couple of projects that I wanted to get started on. So I'm pleased to have the blanket done, because that was kind of weighing on my mind, that it had been our whip for so long. But yes, that's it. And as for new items, apart from the wool, the 3 balls of wool, I haven't bought anything in the past month. Been very good. But my dad did bring me down, when he came down for coffee, and he brought me this from the charity shop. Look at that great font. The Art of Needlecraft. Isn't that lovely? I love that very sort of 20s, 30s. It's got everything: dressmaking, embroidery, curtains, tapestry, knitting and crochet, rug making, weaving, basketry, raffia, leather, stenciling, and new ideas. And it's just a massive book. Oh, published in 1935. Anyway, so I had a look at the crochet chapter, and it just really tells you how to get started. It's got the basic stitches, and then it had a couple of projects and some squares. So I worked up one of the squares from the pattern, and it said it was a square to make a shawl, a square crocheted shawl. This is a pretty shawl and most suitable for a beginner. I thought it was a granny square, but it's very odd the way it's made up. Can you see that? The corners and the increases are made just by putting extra stitches in the corners. But you do have some sort of gaps. Yeah, so it's quite interesting to see. But it's not a solid, how we would make a solid granny square either. So, and then what you do is you work in between these spaces just like you would a granny stitch, but then you work in between. There's no chain one or anything. And then you work in between some of these stitches, and you pop loads of stitches in there to do the next corner. So it's quite dense. A square crocheted shawl. It's to make this shawl, use fingering, a fine soft wool like Shetland. For a shawl of a fair size, about 3/4 of a pound of wool is needed. The stitch is quite simple, for it consists only of chain trebles and a few doubles when you come to the border. But a word of warning, see that the treble stitch is long in the loop and the whole body worked loosely, for a tightly crocheted woolen shawl mats and becomes hard after washing. Yes, and I have made this up with an Aran weight, but yeah, just thought it'd be interesting to try. They're quite hard to understand, to be honest with you. And then the other one was a more difficult shawl. This makes a delightful wrap for the shoulders or a very cosy shawl for a baby. It is best made of fine Shetland wool. Remember to let the treble stitch be long in the loop and the whole be loosely worked. So this, I can see that this would be a very pretty pattern, but slightly unusual. I only did a few rounds, but it seemed quite sort of repetitive of that. So yeah, I thought that was fun just to work, just have a look to see what they would work up like. But there are no pictures for that. They've got some stitches, but there are some pictures in the book. Some black and white pictures, look, but not of the crochet projects. I don't think so. Anyway, let's have a look. No, they've got the I love that they call the double crochet rose stitch. I think that's very lovely. So they've just got some stitch diagrams there, stitch photos, and how to make a tray cloth edged with crochet lace. Okay. I just love those little illustrations. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. I love looking at these old books. So I will put that away with all the others. He's very sweet to find those out for me. And I think that's it for crochet and knit and any other projects. I haven't worked any more on my patchwork either, I'm sorry to say. but I hope to get back to doing some more of that. So yes, I will now sit and talk to you about some of the books I recommend. So if you're only here for the crochet and craft chat, that's it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. And if you are interested in some book recommendations, stay tuned. So the first book I finished was The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett. I'd not read any of Janice Hallett's work before, so this was my introduction to her. This one is about the Alperton Angels, who were, I think, a cult who brainwashed some teenage children into thinking that their baby was the Antichrist. The cult members then later killed themselves, and I think the two teenagers went into the care system, and the baby was taken into care. So it's 18 years on from that, so it's a notorious case, and a reporter is looking into the case for like a documentary, and the Alperton Angel baby is about to turn 18, so she believes that if she can get hold of the Alperton Angel baby, she'll be able to get exclusive interviews, that sort of thing. So but what's interesting about this book, and I didn't realise it until I was sort of 50 pages in, I thought I was reading some sort of just some sort of introduction. It's all written in emails and text messages and WhatsApp messages, so you get through it quite quickly. And I was really flying through it and enjoying it. And I got to about 200 pages in, and I thought, I'm reading it really quickly, but I really don't have a sense of the characters still. And I think that's the problem when you read a book like this. You're trying to solve the case with them. You're getting that new information when they get that new information. But because of it's just in text form, you get a kind of few glimpses of their different personalities, but you don't really. It's hard to visualize the characters. That's what I found. But yeah, it did drive me forward. I wanted to know. But then after a while, I sort of in the middle, I found it a little bit repetitive, and the story hadn't moved on that much. And because you're reading it quite fast because it's in these little sort of snippets, and then then the action sort of happens in the end. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. I do think, apart from the outline of the case, I feel like it's one that if you ask me in like 6 months' time, I'll be able to say, oh, yeah, I enjoyed it, but not remember much about it, because I think maybe I read it too fast. But I did really enjoy reading it. So, yeah, if you like a plot-driven, thriller or crime, then definitely have a look at that. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure if I'm interested enough to read any more of hers. Well, let me know if you've read any by Janice Hallett. I think this is maybe her fourth book. So let me know what you think of them and whether or not it's worth reading some more of her work. But so I would definitely recommend that. But just be warned, you will fly through it. And then the other book was 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton. This was the book group pick at the library that I work in, and it's a book that I'd heard lots of people say they enjoyed it or that it was good, but it really didn't look like my type of thing. Well, I'll read you the bump. It says, in rural Somerset, in the middle of a blizzard, the unthinkable happens. A school is under siege. Pupils and teachers barricade themselves into classrooms, the library, the theatre. The headmaster lies wounded in the library, unable to help his trapped students and staff. Outside, a police psychiatrist must identify the gunman, while parents gather for desperate news. In 3 intense hours, all must find the courage to stand up to evil and save the people they love. So based on that, I thought, I'm just not interested. I'm not. But like I said, it was the book group choice. And I had heard people that read it said, oh, it's really good. So I read it. Oh, gosh, I think I read it in less than 24 hours. I mean, I read that fast, but this I could not put down. It was very intense. But I think what I really liked is, it's basically 3 hours, so all the action happens within those 3 hours. So you're there from the first Amber Alert, when the first shots are fired, and how this sort of staff go about protecting the children, and the procedures, to really sort of getting to know the children and their relationships with each other, and it's just really good. I was really surprised that I enjoyed it so much. It's sad. It's very thought-provoking, I think, because, we live in an age where we probably don't want to think about acts of terrorism, and, at schools in particular. But, they are things that happen. And so I think in that respect, it's quite hard, especially as a parent, to read about. But it's not violent in that and in any other way, really. And it's more about the characters and their reactions and how they keep going, and it's very lovely in that respect. You're really rooting for these children and their teachers, and I thought that was really, really good. Very you're on the edge of your seat, really. So I just picked it up. I actually just went and sat down on the bed for 5 minutes. Do you ever do that in the evening? I just snuck away and I just sat down for 5 minutes, and it was beside the bed, and I thought, I'll just pick it up. And 2 hours later I was still reading it. So I recommend that one, actually. Enjoyed that. And it's not, like I said, it's not the type of book I would have picked up. It's not the type of book that I would normally enjoy. So those are 2 recommendations. I also read a couple of vintage books this month. Mr. Fox by Barbara Comyns. I won't talk too much about this because I will link to me rabbiting on about it in the last vlog. Again, it was one I just picked up at a secondhand store. I loved it. It's set around the Second World War. And it follows a young woman, a younger single mum, and really how she survives, and this sort of older male character that really wants to look out for her. He's a bit of a crook, but I loved it. She's very straight talking. I love her observations. Really, really nice book. So I'm really pleased to have read that. And then the other one was also one that I picked up at the secondhand shop. It was The Growing Pains of Adrian Mole. And I recently reread, because I bought a copy for my daughter, The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4, I think. And so when I saw this, I thought, I'm just going to grab it. It's the next one in this series. And in this one, Adrian is 15 and a half. And I seem to remember reading it when I was around that age, and having a lot of similar concerns, and it's just very funny. And if you grew up, I wasn't a teenager in the 80s, a bit later, but if you grew up in the 80s, particularly if you were sort of a teenager in the 80s, I think you would really get a lot of fun out of that, because it's very of its time, really. His concerns about the war, about his parents and their divorce, and even looking after elderly people in the community, and he ends up just taking on so much worry that I just felt, actually reading it now as an adult, I felt quite sad about him. How hypervigilant he is. He is completely obnoxious and annoying, but as a teenager, to have all those concerns and worries, even though Sue Townsend writes them so that they're so funny, I was laughing out loud. As a parent, I was just like, oh my gosh. So I enjoyed that. If you like a bit of nostalgia, that might be one. And that's it for book recommendations. I had 2 pre-orders come in that I'd ordered. This is Agatha Christie's Sinister Spring. I thought that might be quite nice to read. I love these editions. So when I saw they had a new one coming out, I pre-ordered that. And look at the inside as well. Isn't that lovely? So these are short stories, I think. Murder and Mystery from the Queen of Crime. Yeah. It's even got The Green Shores Follow. We were talking about that, weren't we? A couple of episodes ago. That was originally a short story. So yeah, I've got that. And then the other one is Enchantment by Katherine May, who wrote Wintering. So when I really enjoyed that as well. I really took a lot from that book. So when I saw that she had a new one coming out, I ordered that too. So I've got 2 to look forward to, and I think they'll be quite nice ones to read in spring as well. I mean, I've always got lots of books to read, so quite lucky really. So yes, that is everything. So thank you for being here and spending some time with me today. I'll be back in a few weeks with an update. Hopefully I will have moved on with some projects or started some new projects. I've got lots of ideas and things I'm really itching to get to. So hopefully I will get some time to do that. And I will try and put up another vlog as well. I'm trying to think if I've been filming recently. I've not been very good at picking up the camera again, but I think I might have enough to do like a little March vlog. So yeah, look out for that if you're interested. If not, no offence at all. So I will see you all again soon. So take care, and please come and say hi in the comments. I love chatting to you all, and I'm always so grateful that you take the time to watch and comment and have a little chat with me. So yeah, let me know what you're working on, what you're reading. Yeah, just come and say hi. Thank you. Bye.